in a city where ambition fuels dreams and secrets lie beneath every corner, two detectives rose to prominence as symbols of hope and progress. But what happens when ambition crosses the line? When forbidden desires spiral into a web of deceit and destruction. This is the story of detectives Tiana Jackson and Ayana Reed, whose partnership would become one of the LAPD's most celebrated and tragic. Betrayal, obsession, and a shocking crime would leave lives shattered and a community questioning the integrity of those sworn to protect them. Detective Tiana Jackson, 35, was known for her sharp instincts and steady hand under pressure. Growing up in South Central Los Angeles, she witnessed firsthand the challenges her community faced, fueling her drive to make a difference. Her partner, Ayana Reed, was the rising star of the department. At just 30, Ayana had already earned a reputation for her relentless pursuit of justice and her unshakable dedication to her team. Together, they embodied progress and promise in a profession where women of color were all too rare. But while Ayana seemed to have it all, a supportive husband, a fulfilling career, and a strong moral compass, Tiana's life was far more private. For her, the badge wasn't just a job, it was an identity, one that left little room for personal connections. Tiana had learned to rely on herself early on. Growing up in a neighborhood where opportunities were scarce and danger loomed around every corner, she developed a resilience that would later define her career. But it also left her guarded, reluctant to let anyone get too close. Their partnership was built on trust and mutual respect. They were more than colleagues, they were a team. Ayana's optimism balanced Tiana's pragmatism, and together, they were a force to be reckoned with. Their colleagues often referred to them as the dream team, a pair that could handle any case thrown their way. Colleague 1. They just clicked. It's rare to see two people work so well together, especially in this line of work. Colleague 2. Ayana brought out a side of Tiana that none of us had seen before. She made her lighter, somehow. As strong as their partnership seemed, it wasn't immune to the complexities of human emotion. Beneath the surface, unspoken feelings and hidden desires began to fester. For Tiana, the lines between admiration, envy, and something deeper began to blur. She had always admired Ayana's ability to balance her demanding career with a loving home life. But admiration soon gave way to a more dangerous emotion, longing. In June 2023, Ayana invited Tiana to her home for a casual dinner, hoping to strengthen their bond outside the pressures of the precinct. It was meant to be an evening of laughter and camaraderie. Instead, it set the stage for a connection that would unravel their lives. Darius Reed, Ayana's husband, exuded calm confidence, a stark contrast to the chaos of their work. For Tiana, who had carefully guarded her emotions, his presence was magnetic. And for Darius, there was something about Tiana's intensity that lingered long after that evening. What began as professional courtesy soon crossed boundaries. Darius's expertise in cybersecurity provided a convenient excuse for Tiana to seek his help, but their interactions grew increasingly personal. By late 2023, the lines had blurred completely. For Tiana, the attraction was no longer something she could ignore. It consumed her thoughts, distracting her from the very partnership that had brought her and Ayana together. The bond they had built was beginning to crack under the weight of secrecy and desire. What started as subtle admiration turned into calculated efforts to be closer to Darius. Tiana justified her actions as harmless, even professional, but her behavior betrayed deeper intentions. She found reasons to involve him in cases, seeking his expertise in cybersecurity. Yet, these meetings were less about work and more about indulging her growing feelings. As weeks turned to months, Their conversations grew increasingly intimate. Tiana began sharing personal details, confiding in Darius about her struggles, her dreams, and her loneliness. For Darius, who often served as Ayana's pillar of support, Tiana's vulnerability offered a stark contrast. While Ayana remained blissfully unaware, praising Tiana's commitment and integrity, the cracks in their partnership widened. For Tiana, Ayana was no longer just a colleague or a friend, she was an obstacle, a symbol of everything Tiana felt she lacked. Jealousy is a powerful emotion, one that can distort reality and drive even the most rational mind to irrational actions. For Tiana, every smile exchanged between Ayana and Darius was a reminder of what she couldn't have. Her frustration grew, her focus wavered, and her thoughts turned darker. Her colleagues noticed a change. Tiana, once steady and composed, became erratic and distant. The weight of her secret began to take its toll, but she convinced herself that her feelings were justified. She deserved happiness, even if it came at the expense of someone else. As Tiana's obsession deepened, the boundary between desire and delusion blurred. Every interaction with Darius fueled her fantasy of a life they could share. But the reality was far more complex. Darius's loyalty to Ayana wavered but never fully broke, leaving Tiana caught between hope and despair. By late 2023, Tiana's thoughts had taken a darker turn. She began to see Ayana not as a friend or partner but as the sole obstacle to her happiness. Her once unwavering professionalism and moral compass were overshadowed by a growing resentment that would soon spiral out of control. In November of that year, Tiana's world shifted. She discovered she was pregnant with Darius's child. For most, this revelation might bring clarity or guilt, but for Tiana, it fueled an obsession. Ayana, once a trusted friend and partner, was now a symbol of everything standing in her way. The partnership that had once been their greatest strength began to crumble under the weight of secrecy and jealousy. The revelation of her pregnancy was a turning point. Tiana, who had always maintained control over her life and emotions, now faced a situation that threatened to unravel everything. But instead of guilt or remorse, her thoughts turned to how she could secure the life she believed she deserved. For Tiana, the pregnancy wasn't a complication, it was an opportunity. She began to envision a life where she, Darius, and their unborn child could be a family. But there was one obstacle standing in her way: Ayana Reed. What once bound Tiana and Ayana together now became a source of resentment. Every time Ayana spoke of her happiness, it was a reminder to Tiana of the life she couldn't have. And with every reminder, her jealousy deepened. Tiana's turmoil began to seep into her professional life. The cracks in her once impeccable demeanor were visible, but Ayana, ever the supportive partner, dismissed them as temporary lapses. For Tiana, the obsession with Darius became all-consuming. Every interaction, every moment he shared with Ayana, felt like a betrayal. In her mind, Ayana was no longer just a colleague, she was the enemy. Manipulation became Tiana's weapon of choice. She knew she couldn't outright confront Ayana, so she focused on Darius, exploiting his insecurities and feeding his doubts. Her goal was clear: to drive a wedge between them. As the rift between Ayana and Darius widened, Tiana saw an opening. But the deeper she delved into her schemes, the more dangerous her thoughts became. Her jealousy and resentment were no longer just emotions, they were fuel for something far darker. While Ayana worked to strengthen her marriage, Tiana plotted its destruction. Every kind gesture from Ayana was met with disdain, every moment of happiness a reminder of what Tiana felt she had been denied. By the end of 2023, Tiana's thoughts had taken a sinister turn. What began as an affair had spiraled into an obsession, and what was once jealousy had transformed into a dangerous resolve. Tiana believed she had no other choice if she wanted the life she dreamed of. Ayana had to be removed from the picture. The lines between love, obsession, and destruction had blurred. And as Tiana's plans took shape, the lives of everyone involved would be changed forever. What drives a person to betray the bonds of trust and friendship? For Tiana, jealousy became a consuming force. Evidence later revealed a chilling plan, exploiting Ayana's known health vulnerabilities. Over weeks, Tiana secretly tampered with Ayana's meals, lacing them with a slow-acting poison. Tiana's methods were meticulous. She took care to ensure that her actions went unnoticed, disguising her true intentions behind the facade of friendship and support. For Ayana, these gestures were acts of camaraderie, but for Tiana, they were steps in a deadly plan. The effects of the poison were gradual, allowing Ayana's symptoms to worsen over time without raising suspicion. Colleagues noticed her growing fatigue and frequent headaches, but Ayana, ever the determined detective, dismissed them as the price of hard work. On a routine December morning, the unthinkable happened. Surveillance footage captured Ayana collapsing at her desk, clutching her chest. Despite swift medical intervention, she was pronounced dead. Initially, her death was attributed to natural causes, but the autopsy revealed a sinister truth. Ayana's sudden death shocked the department. Her colleagues mourned the loss of a brilliant detective, and her family was left devastated. But the standard autopsy conducted on all LAPD personnel who die unexpectedly uncovered something far more sinister. The toxicology report identified a substance that exacerbated Ayana's pre-existing high blood pressure, leading to a fatal cardiac arrest. Investigators were faced with a chilling question: who would want to harm Ayana, and why? The investigation quickly narrowed in on Tiana. Her behavior in the weeks leading up to Ayana's death, once seen as supportive, now appeared calculated. Colleagues recalled her bringing Ayana food and drinks, acts that suddenly took on a far more sinister meaning. As the evidence mounted, Tiana's facade began to crumble. Investigators uncovered digital records, including internet searches about poisons and their effects on high blood pressure. Combined with testimony from Darius, who confessed to their affair, the case against Tiana became undeniable. In January 2024, Tiana Jackson was arrested for the murder of Ayana Reed. The once celebrated detective now stood accused of a calculated and premeditated crime that betrayed the very principles she had sworn to uphold. The investigation unraveled a web of betrayal. Colleagues recalled Tiana's unusual attentiveness to Ayana in her final weeks. Surveillance footage and digital forensics painted an undeniable picture. But it was Darius's confession that sealed her fate. Darius's testimony painted a chilling picture of Tiana's jealousy and obsession. He described her escalating frustrations, her possessiveness, and the lengths she was willing to go to secure the life she envisioned. In January 2024, Tiana Jackson was convicted of first-degree murder. The trial exposed the devastating impact of unchecked ambition and personal betrayal, leaving a community reeling and a family shattered. Ayana Reed's death was a tragic reminder of how quickly trust can be betrayed, and how unchecked emotions can lead to devastating consequences. While justice was served, the scars left behind would take years to heal. Lessons and reflections. This tragic case forces us to confront difficult questions. How far would we go for what we desire? How do we safeguard trust in the relationships that anchor us? And most importantly, how can we prevent personal conflicts from escalating into tragedy? In the end, the choices we make and the emotions we allow to control us can define the course of our lives. Ayana Reed's story reminds us of the fragility of trust and the importance of addressing conflicts before they spiral out of control. It's a story of ambition, betrayal, and the devastating consequences of letting jealousy win.